I'm Grumps. I'm not so Grump. And we're the GameGrumps.
Hi.
Buongiorno.
Welcome back to Game Grump.
God, it's a pleasure to see you again. This is nice, Aaron.
It's an audio-only podcast kind of show.
This is our first day back after a little vacation, a little vacay.
Right.
And how was your vacation, Aaron? You went to Japan.
I did, yeah.
How was that?
It was good. You know, I got to see,
Whoa! Sorry, just the first time experiencing these seaweed monsters.
Yeah, they're pretty silly, right?
Kind of caught me off guard.
It was good. I got to see a childhood friend, which probably sounds weird, but yeah, he lives in Japan and works in Japan.
Yeah, and he's a child.
He was born in my childhood. He is 6.
We have a lot to talk about.
And it was nice, because, we recorded like crazy. I think we mentioned in the Mega Man 7 playthrough. We recorded like crazy so that we could, hold on a sec.
Take our first vacation in a couple of years.
Yes, so we took a month off.
That was amazing.
And we worked really hard in 2017, and the first day of our vacation, I fell into the worst depression I've ever had in my entire life.
I actually was a little bit nervous. Not nervous as in like anything would happen to you, but I was just nervous in the sense that I was like, man, I really don't know how he's doing, and it was bumming me out.
I didn't either, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I definitely I appreciated the space.
Yeah.
Because you had the mantra of like, hey, I'm here, but I won't bug you.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, right?
Yeah. Which was nice because like I didn't know what the day was gonna be, you know.
Right.
So the Japan trip was sort of like a kind of. Susie was like, let's go to Japan because it's your favorite place in the world, and you're really depressed, and maybe that'll like, you know, jostle something loose.
Yeah.
And for a while it didn't. I went to Ueno Park, and being around nature was actually pretty healing.
Cool. Always.
Yeah. So that was cool, but it wasn't like fully cool. And then when I saw my childhood friend, then it was the first day that felt normal.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
That can really help because like it's you know, that person is synonymous with another time in your life, and a lot of times, like, at least for me, when I'm feeling down or going through a hard moment, it's a good reminder that like, oh yeah, this is like chapter 38 in a very, very long book that has had many ups and downs, you know? Like, this isn't the way I'm feeling right now isn't the way I've always felt and always will feel.
Yeah, that was exactly what was happening too. It was like tainting memories almost.
Yeah.
Where it was like, oh no, well, remember the good times, and I was like, oh no. Like,
what good times?
Because I feel shitty right now, it's sort of like infecting the old memories.
Right.
So,
oh, good, finally.
To be in a situation where it was like, oh, everything's cool now, and I feel like at home. It was sort of a reminder of something that our trainer said like 2 days ago. Where he was like, home isn't a place, it's a feeling.
Yeah.
And that was like exactly how it felt. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm at home right now, even though I was fucking 3,000 miles away or whatever in some hotel.
The other side of the earth.
But like he spent the night in our hotel, and it was super fucking like, oh man, this is great. So yeah, that was nice, going to Japan.
That's fabulous, man.
I came back and it was tough, but I got over it. I discovered my love for interior design.
Yeah, you're into that now.
Yeah.
That's another thing that really helps. Like, first of all, jizzing octopus goo on this thing's head. That on this
always healing.
Gross lava head.
Always healing.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying. I think like a lot of times if you pursue a new interest, like that's another way to essentially just create a new chapter of your life. Just to get into something you've never gotten into before.
Yeah. Well, I realized I had always been into it, because when I was a kid, and I had my own room, I was rearranging the room like every month. And it sort of never occurred to me that was like an interest, it was just something I did. And now that I have a house and everything and I share it with somebody else, I'm like reluctant to change things around because It's not like just my space.
Right.
But then I sort of realized like, oh, my office at home is my space, so I can do whatever the fuck I want with it. And I was like, what don't I like about my office? And then I sat down and started designing it, and that was like another moment in the past month where I was like, oh, I feel kind of normal right now.
That's awesome.
So I don't know, like a sense of agency or control over my life was nice to feel.
Absolutely, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so things are like pretty good right now.
Yeah, you seem pretty much back to your normal, happy-go-lucky self.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad that it feels that way. But one of the weird revelations too was sort of like, I think maybe I didn't know I didn't know how to feel like sad or like depressed or something. I didn't have like a frame of reference, so I never really like identified it in my mind. So now when it happens, I'm like, oh no, it's coming back. But then I'm like, oh no, maybe I like always sort of felt like this a little bit, and I just didn't know how to like talk about it or phrase it, or I was like afraid to admit that I was feeling it or something.
Right.
So I think that's sort of a healthy change.
That is very important.
Yeah.
The ability to know what you're feeling in the moment. I speaking for myself, like, I think this is a younger Dan issue, but like, one of my problems was, that I wouldn't know what I was feeling in the moment. And like 6 months later, I'd be able to look back and be like, oh, that's what this meant and this meant and this meant. But like, that's not helpful because you can't do anything about a lot of things 6 months later. So I kind of know where you're coming from. Oh, look at that rainbow.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's always darkest before the dawn.
I didn't even realize that. Oh yeah, that's true that, huh?
So true.
But it was like there was also two things. Like one was about work. Like I work all the time, and I worked ridiculously too much in 2017.
We both did. We both hit the wall like 2 separate times.
Yeah.
In that year.
And so coming out of working that hard was, in one case, the way you put it was like, didn't have any time to celebrate accomplishments.
Right.
And then 2, sort of as a result of that, I didn't know how to relax or exist without work. So it was sort of like this sense of like uselessness and like meaninglessness.
Right.
Because I didn't have something to like go into work to and do. It was just kind of like, okay, now I have to exist for a month, and what do I do with that, you know?
Right.
So that was tough, but I got through it.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying and where you're coming from, because like, you know, we've talked about this. For me, I think there's a sense of playing catch up, you know. When I was...
Delicious, by the way.
Delicious ketchup. When I was in my 20s, I was kind of dealing with some mental stuff at the beginning of my 20s, and then some physical problems, because I had issues with my back for a while. And also I didn't have much success with the bands that I was pursuing at that time. And a lot of my heroes, like Rush and Nirvana and all these other bands that I loved, had already accomplished tremendous things by the time that they were 30. Or, you know, unfortunately for Kurt Cobain, like, he was already gone by that point, but he'd changed the history of music by the time he was like 25, you know? So when I turned 30 and started Ninja Sex Party with Brian, like, there was this feeling of, I've got to catch up, you know, I'm behind. Which is, of course, ridiculous now, but it's certainly how I felt at the time. And that's part of the reason I've been, like, so insanely driven these past 8 years to just, like, never stop working and go, go, go. It's because I'm not just trying to make a dream happen. I'm trying to make a dream happen to the point where I feel like I should be at the age that I am now, you know? Not a couple of years ago. So, the upshot of all that is that it's a mixture of that fear-based, thinking, and also the fact that because we're in YouTube, we are at the mercy. Our careers are at the mercy of other people.
I think that's the case. Any case in entertainment,
For sure, but we've also seen stuff recently, and I'm not gonna make any statement like politics-wise, like however you feel about these things, you already feel that way, if you're listening to this. So I'm not gonna make a statement on that. But the fact is, like, PewDiePie drops an N-bomb, and that starts a domino chain, which leads to adpocalypse. And fortunately, we were pretty okay, because we were big enough as a channel. But, a lot of smaller channels, like, really went under, and weren't able to make a living at this anymore.
Right.
And then, you see someone like Logan Paul, who does that video, that was while you were gone, right? In the Japanese forest.
It happened like the day before we left.
Yeah.
So I think we were actually in Japan at the same time.
Right. So he does something like that, and that, of course, is another example of people who don't know anything about YouTube suddenly looking at it from the outside and thinking this guy represents all YouTubers, and that, fortunately, it doesn't seem like that has led to another, like, mass exodus of advertisers or anything like that.
Well, it's tough to say because it happened right when January started.
Right.
Which is, a huge drop for ad revenue.
Yeah.
A little inside baseball for you.
Yeah, that's just the natural rhythm of advertising on YouTube. January is a slow month for some reason. But either way, that's another... Basically, YouTube is run by the top 50 channels, that make the company of YouTube an enormous amount of its money, an enormous percentage of it.
That's not true.
Not true?
No, not at all.
Well,
the creators, the percentage of creators, like you and me, and like Logan Paul or PewDiePie or whatever, they make up like 1% of the traffic on YouTube.
What?
Yeah.
How can that be?
Well, that's basically why you get all these creators complaining that they don't communicate with us, because, like, frankly, they're not super interested in, like, it's good for brand building to have, like, channels and shows and stuff, but most of their traffic is from, like, viral videos and, like, random shit.
So why does it seem that YouTube is reluctant to discipline folks like that?
Well, how do you?
I don't know.
Aside from, punishing them.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's what they've been doing.
But
it's not really their choice anyway. I mean, to be honest, I don't know, because I don't know that I agree with many things that YouTube does.
Sure.
That's not even factoring in the fact that I'm a creator myself.
Yeah, I'm reluctant to go down this road of conversation just because, like, we owe everything to YouTube.
Right.
I have no desire to bite the hand that feeds us and has afforded us careers.
Yeah.
Because that would be super fucking hypocritical. But, I do... The only point I was trying to make was that, we as creators in this job are very much at the mercy of other people's actions.
Right.
Whether it's the creators that are above us and draw a ton of attention, often negative, or the hard to pin down council of druids that runs YouTube. Like, I couldn't even name them if they were in a room with us right now. They're very under the radar. So that's another reason why we've pushed ourselves so hard, because there's always that fear that, hey, this could all go away no matter how good a job we're doing or how hard we're working at any time,
Yeah, there is a bit of like a treadmill sense of it.
Right. So, but there's also a limit that we clearly hit last year where, you know, we were doing GameGrumps and we did Good Game and we toured with NSP and Starbomb and we toured with GameGrumps.
And we toured with Jack.
It was just nonstop. We went all over the world and it was awesome, but it also killed us inside.
Yeah, well, it made me realize that there's the importance of yin and yang, right? And by that I mean like there's a whole lot of yin, not a lot of yang. In 2017, it was just like nonstop work and no self-care.
Yeah,
you know, when there should be sort of a balance, right? Like there should have been. And I have a buddy who was like, my New Year's resolution is to not work on weekends and to come home at night and not work, you know, like leave it for the work day.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly didn't do that last year. I was working weekends almost consistently.
Right, sure.
And, you know, I would work until, 9 p.m., 10 p.m. and come home and go to sleep pretty soon after, you know. So there wasn't a whole lot of balance in my life in 2017.
Yeah.
And hopefully that'll change. I mean, not hopefully, I will make an effort to make it change.
Yeah, I already feel better. Just for me, it was going back to Jersey and hanging out with my parents and my friends back there and my grandma. And after, usually I get 3 days of that, before I have to come back. But this time I got 10 days. And then, it was very healing and very, very much a feeling of like, okay, And again, same principle, it reminded me of the time of my life before all this happened. And, just that reminder that, oh, cool, this isn't the way it's always been.
Yeah, and oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was the gist of it.
Okay.
God, these things are horrifying.
And that's it. What? They're adorable.
Okay.
Look at them.
Oh, they're seals.
Yeah.
Never mind. Now that I know they're seals, they're cute. I thought they were humans with just fucked up faces.
Yeah, and also, oh fuck, I feel like we should next time on GameGrumps.
Oh, sure. We'll continue this conversation next time on GameGrumps. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Goodbye.